Hello and welcome back to the JK Feather Ranch channel. On our last video we installed a deep cycle battery in this 2005 Nissan XTerra. Now we are going to install a voltmeter so we know how much power we have left. So I have here this combination voltmeter in the middle and two USB ports. I just bought it off eBay for, pretty sure it was under $10, that I'm going to use to have a readout of the voltage. The first thing we need to do is figure out where we're going to install it. Now, if you have a stock XTerra, a good place is right here in the dash. I already have my USB ports and a switch right there. I don't want to lose either of those, so I think I'm going to put it right here. In order to get to this piece, I need to first pull off some of the door molding, remove this little piece here, and then I can get to the two screws here and here that hold this plastic piece in, so let's remove those. Then we can pull this down. It's just held in by a couple of clips, and disconnect the wiring, which does not want to disconnect. Now I can't put it all the way off to the side because there's this metal support underneath, so I have to put it somewhere in this area over to the side, which translates on the back of this to right between these two clips. This is a 1 1/8 inch drill bit, which is the size hole needed to insert the voltmeter. It fits right here, so my hole will fit. What I'm going to do is drill a hole right between these clips. You got it? Mm-hmm. Now that we have our hole drilled and cleaned up a little bit with a razor blade, just push the voltmeter through from the front, make sure the cover is aligned the way you want it, and tighten down the locking ring from the back. And if it ends up hitting this, you may have to spin the voltmeter instead to tighten it. So now that I've installed the voltmeter into the panel and pushed it back up in here to make sure it fits without hitting anything, we need to run a positive wire from the fuse box through the dash over to here. First thing we need to do is pull off the radio trim. It's actually not attached by any screws or anything. It just pulls off. And set it down here. Right over the shifter, just so we have access to this area down here. Then I'll start snaking the wire through. I already have a few wires under here, but I'll just run it under the controls all the way over here, to where it should come out under the glove box. Now I tried fishing the wire through underneath. That was going to be a huge pain, so instead I've decided to just remove the glove box and the surrounding trim. There's 4 screws, 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom. Let's get those out. I believe I will also have to take this side piece off. So this molding has to come off. This has to come off. Now that the glove box is out of the way, we do have access to the wire behind it. So I'm just going to route it through behind here, and actually through these zip ties I already have in place for another wire that I ran back here a while ago for my inverter and USB ports. So I'm just going to grab it from back here and run it under the zip ties that are already there. This way it'll keep it out of the passenger's feet. And I just gotta get it through this one, and that actually will take it up into the fuse box area. Just like that. And as you can see, I already have a fuse tap there for my inverter and USB ports. I'm just going to tie into that to run my voltmeter. If you didn't have that, you would have to tap another fuse, but I'm just going to do that. So I'll just pull the old fuse tap out so there's no power to it. Cut the wire here. That's my old wire. I'll trim off some of the excess and also trim this one to match. Strip them both. Twist them together. Install one end of the crimp connector over those two and crimp it down. Strip the end of the fuse tap. Twist it and put it into the connector. Crimp that one down. I would plug it back in, but I'm not going to because I might short something out. The other end of the wire is just hanging loose. Now that that is done, we can put the glove box back in. Screw in the bottom too. That one didn't quite go in right. Screw in the top two. There's our fuse tab coming out of the fuse box. We'll just hide that in there so we can close the glove box. Then we can just sort of hit this back into place. Or not. We'll get it. Hit that one back into place. Put this back into place. And put this back into place. Now that we've got our wire run all the way under the dash, but before we hook the fuse back up so there's no power to it right now, just pull it out here, make sure it's plenty long to be able to work with, and strip the end, twist the strands, and attach one of these terminal connectors to it. Just going to crimp that on the same way we've crimped everything else. That's going to be the positive. We also need ground. So I'm just going to take a length of black wire. That should be more than enough. I'm actually just going to go from right here where the voltmeter is going to be. I'm going to ground it right to this 5/16 bolt. I put the bolt there to serve as a ground for my inverter. The hole is already drilled, so if you have an XTerra, you already have a 5/16 hole right there. You just need to put a bolt through it and you'll have a spot to ground through. So I'm going to do the same thing with this piece of black wire. I'm going to strip it, attach the blue terminal to one end. This will go on the back of the voltmeter. And on the other end, I am going to put this ring terminal. This is a 5/16 inside diameter ring terminal to slip right over this bolt. It's meant for a 10 or 12 gauge wire. I'm using an 18 gauge wire. In order to make that work, we're going to strip a lot off of that wire, and before we twist it together, we'll fold it over so this has more to bite down on. Just slip it in there and crimp it down. That is thoroughly on there. Next thing we need to do is remove this bolt. See if I can get up in there. It's got a lock nut on the back so it doesn't go anywhere, but we will remove that bolt. It's already got 2 wires on it, so we'll just slip this one on it as well. Put it back through the hole. Put the lock nut back on it. Get a ratchet in there. And tighten everything back down. We have our wiring in place and the connections on it. We will attach it to the voltmeter. Pay attention to which of these is which. On this one, positive is on the outside, negative is on the inside. Once those are attached, we will reattach the connections over here. And then this goes back into the dash. Once that's done, we just have to reinstall our screws. Pop this trim piece back on. Push this molding back in. Plug the fuse back in. Put the cover back on. Ta-da! Wait, why isn't it working? Turns out I misread the back of this. Positive actually goes over here, and negative goes over here. Plug the fuse back in. Put the cover back on. Ta-da! So that's how you install a voltmeter in a 2005 XTerra. The process will be similar for other vehicles. The locations of the parts may be different. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe.